Well. Lexus is at it again. First, they teased us with the LFR concept, a car that looked like it had just rolled off the set of a futuristic sci-fi film. Then they left us hanging, drip-feeding tiny details while keeping the juiciest parts under wraps. But now, the wild interior has finally been spotted, and let me tell you, it is just as outrageous as you would hope. We all knew Lexus was planning something big with the LFR. After all, this is supposed to be their new halo car, the spiritual successor to the mighty Lexus LFA. Remember that car? A naturally aspirated V10 that screamed like an F1 engine and instantly cemented itself as one of the greatest Japanese supercars ever built. Well, the LFR has some seriously big shoes to fill. And while we still do not know exactly what will be under the bonnet, the cabin is now making headlines for its bold design. Lexus is clearly throwing out the old playbook and going for something that screams, "Look at me." But is it all show and no go? Or is this interior actually setting the stage for Lexus's next supercar era? Let's break it down. First impressions, the wow factor. Step inside the LFR, and you are immediately hit with a sense of drama. This is not your usual Lexus RX with soft-touch plastics and polite ergonomics. No. The LFR's interior is wild, sculpted, and unapologetically futuristic. From the spy shots and leaks we have seen so far, the cabin is all about driver focus. There is a yoke-style steering wheel. Yes, like something straight out of a fighter jet. Around it are angular digital displays that almost look like holograms floating in the dash. Instead of one big screen in the middle, Lexus appears to have split information across multiple panels, wrapping around the driver in a cockpit-style layout. And then there are the seats. Thin, sculpted racing buckets with integrated headrests and aggressive bolstering. They look like they belong in a concept car, not a production model. The materials? Expect Alcantara, carbon fiber, and maybe even some futuristic composites Lexus has been cooking up. It is bold, it is wild, and honestly, it makes most modern supercar interiors look boring by comparison. Throwback to the LFA, but turned up to 11. Of course, Lexus knows that every detail of the LFR will be compared to the legendary LFA. That car was a masterclass in creating an interior that matched its insane V10 engine. It had a digital rev counter that could spin faster than an analog dial could keep up with, and it screamed personality with its simple yet driver-focused design. The LFR looks like Lexus has taken that formula and said, "Right, let's crank it up to 11. Instead of subtle sophistication, the LFR's cabin is dramatic. Instead of being purely functional, it is futuristic and theatrical. It feels like Lexus wants to make this car not just a machine you drive, but an experience you step into. Almost like climbing into a cockpit before blasting off. The Technology Showcase. This is Lexus after all, the brand that prides itself on obsessive attention to detail and tech wizardry. And from what we can gather, the LFR is going to be absolutely loaded. We are talking augmented reality HUDs projecting key info directly onto the windscreen. Next-gen infotainment with haptic feedback controls, likely connected to Lexus's latest AI assistant. Driver biometric systems, meaning the car can monitor your heart rate or fatigue levels and adjust accordingly. Track data overlays for when you are taking it around a circuit and want to see lap times, G-forces, and telemetry in real time. This is not just a car interior, it is a rolling tech lab. Why go wild with the interior? Here's the thing. Lexus has spent decades being the brand known for comfort, quietness, and reliability. That is great if you are buying an ES or RX, but when you are building a halo supercar, you cannot just be boring. You need something that turns heads, grabs attention, and makes people talk. The wild interior is Lexus saying, "We can do crazy too." And honestly, it is a smart move. In a world where Teslas, Rimacs, and Hyper EVs are stealing the spotlight with futuristic cabins, Lexus cannot show up with leather seats and a rotary knob. They need to stand out, and with the LFR they clearly are. What about the powertrain? Okay, so the interior is wild, but what about under the bonnet? Because let's be honest, no matter how flashy the cabin is, this car will live or die by how it performs. Rumors suggest the LFR could come with a hybrid V8, potentially pushing out north of 800 horsepower. Some even whisper that Lexus might develop an all-electric version down the line. Either way, this car is meant to sit at the top of the Lexus food chain, above everything else in their lineup. If they can deliver an engine and driving experience even half as memorable as the LFA's screaming V10, then Lexus will have another legend on their hands. Rivals. Who should be worried? So, who is Lexus gunning for here? Well, based on what we have seen, the LFR is shaping up to go toe-to-toe with the likes of Ferrari 296 GTB, McLaren Artura, Porsche 911 Turbo S, Aston Martin Valhalla, if it ever arrives, and maybe even some of the higher-end EV supercars like the Lotus Evija. If Lexus nails the execution, the LFR could very well become the Japanese answer to Europe's best, just like the LFA once was. So, Lexus can no longer hide it. The LFR's interior is here, and it is bonkers. Yoke steering, futuristic displays, racing seats, and tech everywhere you look. This is not your dad's Lexus. This is Lexus saying, "We can play in the big leagues and we are not afraid to go wild." Of course, the interior is only one piece of the puzzle. The big question remains, will the LFR have the performance to back up its dramatic looks? Will it have the soul of the LFA? Or will it just be a flashy, tech-heavy statement? We will have to wait and see. But one thing is certain, the LFR is shaping up to be one of the most exciting Japanese supercars in years. And if the interior is anything to go by, Lexus is not holding back.